Good morning to you all, and so nice to have you all join this morning. And as you know, this is our Mind the Moment Tuesday morning gathering brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. This is the place where we invite experienced instructors to speak with us about mindfulness and what it means to them, and to discuss as a community how we can incorporate these practices into our daily lives. I'm Suzanne Rowe Palacino, and I'm more than happy than you know to be here with Zeenat Potia, who wasn't here about, I don't know, not because of her not being available, but because of our technology a few minutes ago. So we're so happy to have you here. She's a mindfulness meditation teacher at Cambridge Insight Meditation Center, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, and eMindful. Good morning, Zeenat.
Good morning, Suzanne. Thank you so much for having me once again. And I'm really grateful that our technology came together literally at the last second. So thank you for your efforts making that possible.
No problem. So happy to have everybody here joining, and we've got a great crowd this morning. So today Zeenat will start us off with a some of her thoughts and a question for the group. And then she'll lead us in a guided practice. And then after that, we'll have time for discussion, questions, and comments. So that is the richness of our program, when we can see how things have landed with folks. So if you can go to the bottom of your screen and click on the chat, and you can open that up. And there's a click down menu where you can see everyone, where it says hosts and panelists. You can click on everyone and you'll see all the comments coming in as they come in. So Zeenat, what question do you have for us this morning?
This morning, excuse me, I would like to invite folks to contemplate and reflect upon what the inner weather, the inner landscape is like. So in meditation terms, we often talk about this, turning the mirror inward. And sometimes people are inspired to use words from the weather if you like, but you don't have to. And I'm in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and it woke up to a very rainy, very drizzly day, which interestingly is not a reflection of my inner weather today. That's the outer weather. And so, any predominant emotional state, mental state, or physical state as a description of your weather. And so inviting folks to share in the chat, please.
Well, I'll say my inner weather was different 10 minutes ago than it is now. So I was a little apprehensive that things were going to go well. But my day, I'm actually really anticipating some really wonderful things in my day today. I'm traveling with a friend. So looking forward to a really nice day.
Good. Thank you for sharing, Suzanne.
Yeah. Someone says partly sunny. And how about you, Zeenat?
I would say that my inner weather is tranquil this morning. So it feels like a calm, glassy surface of a lake. So
that's good. Okay. And someone mentioned scattered like the light rain out there. Mm-hmm.
Humid, yes, indeed.
Inner weather is rainy right now. Hope this session will lift it. So, glad you joined. Glad you joined.
Yeah. And thank you for those of you who shared, appreciating that. And I'll just say a couple of things and then we'll turn to the practice. And so our topic today is around sacred pause. And I talk a lot about pausing in life, in meditation. Certainly we get to practice it because it's such a powerful thing. It might seem like a small thing, but really it's what we're training in. Otherwise, without the pause, we're just acting out of habit and conditioning. And there's a real momentum there. It's in our DNA. We act out of past patterns because that's what this system of mind, body, heart knows. And so in practice, we're learning to recognize, know what this pause is, and then to employ it in our practice and in our day-to-day lives. And it's also very useful to pause in regulating our nervous system. So, often you may have heard when you get triggered or you get activated or you in the middle of a stressful situation, you'll often hear someone or your own inner voice say, just take a beat, take a deep breath, feel your feet on the ground. Just in that pause, possibilities become available to us. Choice becomes available to us. So let's check it out in formal practice. Please just coming into a very, a very relaxed, comfortable posture, upright, shoulders back and down, and the head and neck is very relaxed, and you're welcome to close your eyes. I'm just arriving and beginning to settle with an attitude of friendliness, of warmth, of welcoming whatever is here. Often there's the energy of should. It should be this way. I have to do this. I must. This is not okay. This uneasiness needs to be gotten rid of. And so trying something different, trying to cultivate an inner atmosphere where everything is welcome. And softening and relaxing the body as much as you can. If there's any places where there's gripping or contraction, is it possible to notice, just shine the light of awareness and see if you can loosen, if you can relax, if you can let go, or you can release to whatever degree you can. No forcing, no pushing. But an intentional relaxation of the body and really being in an embodied relationship with your physical being. Aware of sounds externally. If you're in a rainy spot, then there is soft, gentle sound of the rain. And instead of simply observing, trying this practice of being with the rain, the inner turbulence, if there is any, or inner joy, whatever it is, being with. And if your mind wanders off, it kind of saunters off to the past or the future. And when you notice, when you remember that you're elsewhere, that's a moment of mindfulness. See if you can pause there for a moment. Just pause. And then returning back to the here and now. Instead of immediately rushing back to the present moment, pausing. Because that's an opportunity. It's a moment of mindfulness. And we're creating space. Because if we just rush off, we've glossed over a moment of wakefulness. And sometimes it gets filled very quickly. It gets filled with, oh no, I was distracted, with doubt or aversion, or sleepiness or restlessness, or guilt or shame. Who knows? But it's not ours. It's just habit. It's conditioning. We can pause, and then in the pause, from the pause, emerges the possibility of choice, of choosing to return back to the here and now. So let's try practicing in this way for the next few minutes. Keeping the practice alive, keeping it going. And keep remembering to relax and soften, and practicing with an attitude of warmth and friendliness. And if you hit something that has an ouch, just pause. Try the sacred pause. Just pause with curiosity, with compassion, pausing, seeing clearly in that pause. One of my teachers, he uses this two-letter word, as a way to be with the light of the pause. In a moment or so, you'll hear the sound of a bell, and I encourage you to practice with the sound until you don't hear it anymore. And then taking your time as you transition out of practice, gradually opening the eyes, maybe doing a little stretch or taking deeper breaths. Thank you for your practice.
Thank you, Zeenat.
My pleasure. And I also wanted to say that the pause helps us honor transitions in life. Often we just kind of either get bored or we ignore or we just gloss over when we're transitioning from one thing to the next. And the reality is life is full of transitions. And so learning to honor that space and bring mindfulness to it can be a really rich practice. And Viktor Frankl, who some of you may know, talked about this. Between stimulus and response, there is space. And in that space lies the opportunity for our growth and our freedom. So when you receive stimulus, if there's an immediate reaction, then boom, then you're hijacked by habit and conditioning. But if we can remember to, with our mindfulness practice, with steadiness, recognize that space, that pause, then we can choose. And that's where our growth and our freedom lie. So welcome to offer any reflections or questions or comments. I see that. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing that from Jack Cornfield. And it actually is called On the Sacred Pause. That's beautiful.
Maybe we could read it for folks just in case they can't see. In a moment of stopping, we break the spell between past result and automatic reaction. When in a moment of stopping, we break, okay, so there's two sentences. When we pause and we can notice the actual experience, the pain or pleasure, fear or excitement, in the stillness before our habits arise, we become free to act wisely. When we pause, we can notice the actual experience, the pain or pleasure, fear or excitement in the stillness before our habits arise. We become free to act wisely. It's very good. I'm really glad you shared that, Sarah. Someone asked, when in the pause, do we focus on what distracted us or focused on the breath? It's a good question.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Cindy. It's a good one. So in reality, in a moment of time, there can only be one thing, right? Because moment to moment, our life is unfolding, our experiences are shifting. It might look like it's a string of long moments, but it's actually moment to moment. And so with mindfulness, for instance, so let's say I'll use a concrete example. You're practicing breath awareness, focusing on the breath, inhale, exhale, mind. Oh, I've got that meeting at noon. I have to prep for it. I don't know. I'm not really looking forward to it. Blah, blah, blah. Mind, off. And then let's just say, 15 seconds go by on that train. And then there's a moment, it's like a light bulb, a moment of awareness, of waking up, of mindfulness. Oh, I'm not with the breath. There's like a recognition that you're thinking about, they're lost in thinking about the meeting at noon. So there's a pause. This is what I mean. And in that pause, because it's a moment of realization, you're just in there. you're not really directing or doing anything. You're simply noticing, you're seeing, you're allowing. And in that moment, it might just be a recognition of, oh, the meeting, distraction, remember that, or it might have been you were lost in sadness, or you were lost in excitement, excitement, distraction. Naming it will pause the activity. It cuts the mental chatter, the distraction. And then there's literally just awareness, right? So then you can choose to return to breath. And then you're choosing, when you're returning to breath, to not be lost. But if you can just hold that and often, it can be helpful to label, because it extends the pause. Otherwise, the mind is onto the next thing, or the mind is, I should have gone to breath, but oh no, I'm a bad meditator. It does what it does. So just trying to train, and it's a training, we cultivate it, this learning how to linger a little bit. It's a tiny thing, but it's not actually, it's extremely powerful to recognize. And then you can, there is a sense of empowerment of returning to breath, and always remembering to return with gentleness, with kindness, with softening. Because for many of us, that requires training, because we're very well practiced in the hurry up, or, the kind of chastising or whatever it is that we've been conditioned ourselves for decades to, the inner talk. So we're also trying to change that inner talk towards a more compassionate, allowing, befriending attitude towards our minds and ourselves, because we're human and we're going to get distracted.
Yeah, I really love that naming, to name it, because I agree with you with what you said, Zeenat. It separates you. It seems like you realize it's not yourself. It's not me. It's this outside distraction. And I also like noticing what happens with our body, that distraction. Okay, well, how does that make your body feel? And then maybe returning to the breath then. But I really, really like that naming. So I love that explanation.
Yeah, beautiful, Suzanne. That's, tying it back to somatic practice or awareness of the body is so skillful, because when you are out there lost and thinking about the meeting, you are in a way completely disconnected from the present moment experience of the body, and the body is sitting here, even if the mind is elsewhere. So I love that you added that. That's really skillful and beautiful.
Yeah, it's great practice. This reminds me, actually, the pause. A colleague of mine from UCLA, from my mindfulness facilitation training, was a policeman in Los Angeles, and he was a mindfulness practitioner for a number of years, and he was trying to bring mindfulness to the police force. And he was in an altercation with someone who just committed a crime, and the person had a weapon, and Jeff had a weapon, and it was getting very heated. And Jeff just said to the person, let's do a do-over. Let's just wait. Let's do a do-over, because it could have really gotten violent. And he was able to just dissipate the tension and come to a more reasonable situation. So that pause can be so important in everything we do.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah,
Powerful. Yeah,
it really is. And it can really improve our relationships too with colleagues, family. And if we're not reacting right away, but we're like, wait a minute, can I really understand where that person is coming from before I respond?
Yeah. Or technology, pausing while you're waiting for one browser window to open, clicking another. What if we just paused? Because it cultivates patience too, which is one of a beautiful quality that's in short supply in our modern world. So
I love this subject, Zeenat. I'm really glad you shared it with us today. And I think it really resonated with the folks who joined. So thank you very much for being with us this morning.
My pleasure. Should we do just a 30-second closing pause practice?
Yes, that sounds great. Thank you.
Just steadying and collecting the scattered mind. Once again, offering if any appreciation arises, you could dedicate the fruits or the merits of your practice to yourself or anybody in your life who you wish to. Okay,
Thank you again, Zeenat.
my pleasure.
And thank you to everyone for joining this morning. We wish you a peaceful rest of the day, or finding opportunities to find peace, and hope to see you next Tuesday morning at 8:30 as well. So thanks so much for joining, and we'll see you soon.
Pleasure. Bye. Have a nice day, everyone.
Bye-bye.